Hello everyone, it's great to see you again on my channel. Today, I'll continue bringing you the latest chapter in the story of Singlemother lythica and Officer Hung, two people who seem to have nothing in common, yet are bound together by an invisible thread called fate. As you know, lythica and Hung are going through a stormy phase. The family's finances have been shaky after past hardships, with debts and daily expenses pressing in like relentless undercurrents. But as if that weren't enough, Hung, the man who had always been lythica's solid pillar, suddenly received an assignment to work far away. On the surface, it seemed like just another career move, but in truth, it was a turning point that could change both of their futures. Hundreds of kilometers apart is more than a number on a map. It's the empty seat at the dinner table, the unanswered texts delayed by mismatched work hours, the moments of exhaustion when you want to lean on someone, but only find empty space beside you. While both are struggling to maintain balance, the biggest question is, what will lythica choose? Will she urge Hung to seize the opportunity to secure his career, even if it means enduring a long-distance relationship? Or will she wish for him to stay by her side, no matter the risks to their finances and future? And Hung, between love and career, which will he put first? Will he sacrifice everything to remain with lythica, or will he believe their love is strong enough to withstand distance and trials? All these questions will gradually be answered in today's chapter. I suggest you pay close attention to every detail, because sometimes just a glance, a single sentence, or a fleeting decision can become the key that unlocks a whole new turning point for both characters. In the past few days, Hung had been swept up entirely in the whirlwind of work at the office and small matters at home. Pressure from both sides wrapped around his mind like an iron band, leaving him with no time to visit lythica. Messages grew sparse, calls ended quickly, leaving an aching emptiness for the one waiting. Far away, lythica could not hide her worry. Her eyes grew more distant, thoughtful, often wandering toward the yard as if waiting for a familiar figure to appear. That afternoon, Mrs. Hung noticed the sadness in her face, walked over, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, and softly asked, "What's wrong, dear? These days you look so lost." Lythica sighed slowly, her voice barely above a whisper as if afraid the wind might carry it away. "It's been days since I last saw him. I feel so lonely. People here treat me well, and I'm very grateful, but I still miss our little home. Miss it so much that sometimes I just want to go back immediately." Mrs. Hung gave her hand a reassuring squeeze, her gaze kind yet steady. "Hung will come for you soon. You must believe everything will be fine. One day you'll return home, and everything will be peaceful again." They sat side by side on the porch, the evening breeze drifting by, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers from the fence. Their conversation gradually turned to someone lythica quietly cherished like a younger sibling. Mrs. Hung shared that had changed a lot lately, no more aimless wandering, no more meaningless gatherings, but instead hard work and determination to pay off debts. Hearing this, lythica's lips curved into a small smile, her heart warmed with admiration. Because in the midst of these cloudy days, there were still tiny glimmers of light, giving her hope that everyone would eventually overcome their own hardships. On Hung's side, the storm began brewing during an important meeting with his superiors. Inside the closed room, the commander's voice was firm and steady, yet to Hung, each word seemed to land with a crushing weight. The unit would be reallocating personnel, and his name was on the list for reassignment. The department's regulations were clear: each reassignment came with a new term lasting at least 5 years. 5 years, not just a number, but a long stretch of time, enough to change everything. His new post would be 130 kilometers from his current home, a distance far enough to turn visits into rare luxuries, to reduce warm dinners with lythica and little Tony into moments longed for through a phone screen. Hung knew that accepting the assignment meant he would have to move there. The new job would consume him, leaving no time to care for Hoai or be present for Tony's most important milestones. In the midst of their already tangled circumstances, the thought of leaving them was like a vice tightening around his heart. The days that followed were filled with inner conflict. On one side was his career, the result of years of youth, sweat, and countless sleepless nights. On the other was love, the woman he had vowed to protect for life, and the child he had come to cherish as his own. He wrestled with himself. If he chose the job, would his heart be at peace? If he chose love, would he regret it? In the end, he made a decision many would call reckless, to request a temporary leave of absence. He would stay, wait for an opportunity to transfer closer to home, and if that never came, he was prepared to leave the police force altogether and find another job, so long as it meant staying close to Hoai and Tony. He kept the decision to himself. Hung knew that if Hoai found out, she would surely object. She would put his future before their personal happiness, urging him to continue his career even if it meant enduring the distance. But Hung felt differently. To him, no rank or paycheck was worth more than being close to the ones he loved. That choice alone spoke volumes about how deep his love for Hoai ran. He was ready to give up what had taken him years of study and training to achieve, just to trade it for the simple, complete days by her side. After signing the leave request and completing the handover at work, Hung stepped out of the office with a strange mix of relief and heaviness. Relief, because he had finally committed to his choice; heaviness, because he still didn't know how Hoai would react. On the way back, he decided not to wait any longer. He had to see her, look into her eyes, and tell her everything. Meanwhile, in another part of the village, Hoai was busy harvesting rows of lush green gourds in her garden. Sweat dotted her forehead, but her eyes held a quiet joy at the sight of a better-than-expected crop this year. Beside her, Hoai's mother was frying fragrant batches of banana fritters. Hoai helped, turning each one to a golden crisp, the aroma wafting through the yard and tempting passers-by to stop and buy. The basket of fritters emptied quickly, leaving both women with a simple, shared sense of accomplishment. On the walk home, carrying a basket of gourds and another of fritters, Hoai chatted with Hoai's mother, until she spotted a familiar figure approaching from afar. Hung. His steps were quick yet measured, his gaze warm but shadowed with something hard to read. Nearby, Ha had just returned from an errand, and upon seeing Hung, she smiled in greeting. The four of them walked back together in a light-hearted atmosphere. Questions, teasing remarks, and bursts of laughter filled the air, easing the weight of the days they had been apart. As the afternoon faded, the golden light of sunset bathed the front yard. The day's work done, everyone gathered around a simple meal: fresh garden vegetables, a plate of savory braised fish, and the golden fritters from earlier. Hung, Hoai, Ha, and Ha's mother sat side by side, their conversation weaving through small joys: the gourd harvest, the fritters selling out, and Ha's amusing stories from her early days at work. Laughter spilled out to the porch, mingling with the warm aromas from the kitchen, creating a moment that felt peaceful, as if all the storms beyond had briefly retreated. Yet somewhere in Hung's eyes, there still lingered something unsaid. When the meal was over, Hoai quietly asked to speak with Hung in private. They stepped out onto the porch, where the young crescent moon had just risen, casting its gentle glow over the still, quiet yard. She hesitated for a moment before softly voicing what she had kept in her heart for days. "I want to go home. Things are safe now, and I don't want to stay here forever. Our little house may still have its shortcomings, but it's where I feel most at peace. If everything's okay, please let me and Tony go back." Hung looked deep into her eyes, a sudden ache tightening in his chest. He had wrestled with this decision for a long time, and now it was time to speak. His voice was low, steady, yet tinged with a trace of unease. I have requested a temporary leave from work. I don't want to take the transfer. I don't want to be away from you and Tony. The confession left Hoai stunned. Surprise quickly gave way to reproach. Why would you decide something like that on your own? You know how important that job is to you. You should have taken the assignment, and you could have visited us when you could. I don't want to be the reason you give up your career. Hung smiled, a gentle smile, yet full of resolve. To me, you and Tony are what matters most. The job, if not this one, then I'll find another later. I can't let titles or money make me abandon the person I love. His words left Hoai speechless. In her heart, emotion and happiness swelled, mixed with a flicker of worry. But in the end, she nodded. Hung agreed to let her return home as well, a silent promise that they would start over together, no matter the difficulties ahead. The next day, Hung and Hoai sought out Ha and her mother to talk. The small kitchen once again filled with warm conversation. Upon hearing the news, Ha and her mother felt a twinge of sadness. The days spent with Hoai and Tony had brought them much joy, but they still smiled and gave their blessings. Ha's mother took Hoai's hand, offering all sorts of advice before her departure, while Ha promised to visit often so Tony wouldn't forget Big Brother Ha. In that moment, everyone understood that although the road ahead would hold many challenges, they were at least walking it together, bound by genuine affection and unwavering loyalty. Though they knew this day would eventually come, when Hoai finally said goodbye, neither Ha nor her mother could hide their sense of loss. The little house, once so accustomed to the laughter and chatter of mother and child, suddenly felt strangely quiet. It seemed only yesterday that Tony had been toddling around the yard, calling out Grandma Ha, while Hoai busied herself in the kitchen, the rhythm of chopping blending with the aroma of cooking. Now, just imagining mornings without those familiar figures, or evenings without lively conversations over a pot of tea, left them both feeling an emptiness inside. Yet they also understood, Hoai's real home was somewhere else, a place filled with memories and love she could never leave behind forever. She needed to return, to start her own life anew. That afternoon, the last light of day filtered through the porch, painting the old brick floor gold. Hoai began to pack. Each shirt was folded neatly, each small item placed carefully in a bag. She set aside a corner for keepsakes, the soft towel Tony always snuggled with during his naps, a handful of gourd seeds from Mrs. Ha to plant at home, and a handkerchief Ha had given her on a rainy day. Every object brought back a fragment of memory, like a slow-motion reel of her time here, the warm scent of banana fritters, misty mornings in the garden harvesting gourds, and evenings gathered over dinner, laughing at one of Tony's random remarks. As she worked, Hoai lifted her gaze toward Hung, her eyes hesitant yet resolute. How about, you move in with me and Tony? Staying here with your uncle forever doesn't feel right, and you're on leave from work anyway. We could tend the garden together, take on extra jobs for income. Most importantly, I want to wake up every morning and see you there. Hung stayed silent for a moment, his eyes locked on hers, weighing every word she said. He knew this was more than just an invitation to live together, it was her way of saying she already saw him as part of her family. After a brief pause, his lips curved into a warm smile, one that seemed to chase away the chill of the evening air. All right, I'll arrange it. In a day or two, I'll bring all my things over. From now on, we'll truly be a family. His answer sent a deep, almost trembling warmth through Hoai's heart. She smiled, happiness flooding her like sunlight breaking through clouds, as if every fatigue, every worry of the past had melted away. Outside, night had begun to fall, the breeze carrying the gentle fragrance of wildflowers. And in that moment, though the future still held uncertainties, they both knew they had chosen right, to be together, to share every joy and sorrow, and to shoulder life side by side. The morning sky was crystal clear, golden sunlight spilling across the small garden in front of the porch. The sound of roosters crowed in the distance, mingling with the cheerful chirping of birds, as if announcing a fresh beginning for Hung and Hoai. After so many turbulent days, they were finally under the same roof, no more distances to bridge, no more anxious waiting. The little house was now filled with laughter. In the mornings, Hung and Hoai worked side by side in the garden, tending to the rows of vegetables, trimming the lush gourd vines. Tony toddled around, half playing, half helping his parents water the plants. By afternoon, they prepared dinner together, the sweet aroma of vegetable soup and the rich scent of braised fish filling the kitchen. These simple moments, to them, were the greatest happiness. Yet, somewhere in Hung's heart, a concern remained. He had left behind his job as a police officer, something he had spent years studying and training for, to stay with the woman he loved. Now, he needed to find a new path, not only to shoulder the weight of daily life but also to pay off the lingering debt that still hung over them. Hoai understood this and stood firmly by his side, encouraging him. She suggested they expand their garden, planting more vegetables and fruits to sell, while also taking on home-based work. Hung considered other options, perhaps working as a security guard, an assistant driver, or learning a new trade to increase their income. Together, they discussed every idea and wrote down each plan, like a mutual vow to build their future hand in hand. Their love, tested through so many trials, was now stronger than ever. No longer was it about fleeting promises or endless waiting, it was about sharing every day together, working side by side, carrying responsibilities, and finding joy even in hardship. But life is never forever smooth. Financial struggles still loomed, and new challenges lay ahead. Would Hung find a stable job that could both repay their debts and sustain his dream with Hoai and Tony? Would their love remain steadfast when faced with fresh pressures, when reality shifted from romantic sacrifice to the daily weight of survival? All the answers will unfold in the next chapter, where the new road for Hung and Hoai begins to take shape. A road no longer marked by the uniform of a police officer, but lit brightly by unity, trust, and love. Stay tuned, because this story has only just begun.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến mọi người phần tiếp theo của video về mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và tình yêu với cảnh sát hùng. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì ở trong tập trước, mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca đã Trong tập trước thì cảnh sát Hùng đã gặp phải lệnh điều động là phải chuyển đi nơi khác để công tác. Tuy nhiên nếu như mà để mà chuyển đi công tác thì một lần phải chuyển đi khoảng 5 năm thì điều đó rất là bất tiện. Hùng đã quyết định là tạm thời nghỉ việc bởi vì anh không muốn rời xa Hoài Ca, và đặc biệt là khi chuyển đi xa đến cách 130 km như vậy thì rất lâu anh mới có thể về thăm Hoài Ca và Tony. Và đặc biệt bây giờ sự an toàn của Hoài Ca và Tony vẫn chưa được đảm bảo, vì thực sự thì mẹ của anh vẫn chưa bị bắt, nên anh đã quyết định từ bỏ công việc tạm thời ở cạnh Hoài Ca và Tony, và hai người cũng đã quyết định trở về để ở với nhau. Diễn biến câu chuyện sẽ diễn ra như thế nào tiếp theo, mời mọi người đón xem tập sau nhé.